What's going on, everyone? So Brandon Ingram got what he wanted. Got his max contract, 3 years, $120 million, so $40 million a year. Not gonna lie, until Toronto traded for him, I didn't think any team would give him that much money. I just don't think with the new CBA and where they're at, right, like that he's worth that kind of money, right? I thought he would be the first like kind of real casualty in the NBA. I think pre-CBA, he definitely would have gotten that money, without a doubt. But I thought, with the new CBA, unless you're, a top one or two guy, which Brandon Ingram, there are questions about that with his injury history. There's a lot of questions with Ingram. He's an incredible talent, an incredible player, right? A guy that could really kind of, transform with the right pieces around your franchise. But it's just, again, the new CBA makes things very difficult. And it's just like, can you win with Brandon Ingram as your second guy and trust that he can be healthy and all those things? I didn't think a team would do it until Toronto made the trade, right? Because when Toronto made the trade, you knew they had no choice. They're not going to trade what they traded, which they also gave up first to just let him walk. Probably not happening, right? So to me, I as soon as that signal, I was like, okay, he's going to get his money. Also, Toronto, for being honest, the Raptors aren't this like prime free agency destination, right? They're not this like place where, you're probably going to overpay. Because like even if you were, let's say you were willing to offer him like $35 million, but another team was willing to offer $30 million, would he leave you to just go to that other team, right? Depending on that team. Like there's just a lot of factors that could take in play, and you traded a lot for him, so you're kind of all in on him. As far as like how will he impact Toronto, I definitely think that their team is interesting, right? But I don't think that like this is a move that makes you a contender. Unless Scotty Barnes just like, boom, takes huge strides, which, at times he looks like it. At times Scotty Barnes looks like, man, this guy might be a real superstar in this league at some point. And then he has games where it's just like, okay, no, he still has some room to grow. He can be very inconsistent at times. And also you kind of argue Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes kind of become this redundancy, they're very similar in what they want to do, what they want to achieve. You look at RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, like offensively, they're probably going to be really good. They're going to have to figure out how to share the ball better, right? Because you have basically four guys on the court that are best with the ball in their hands, right? Emmanuel Quickley just getting ahead of steam, getting downhill, right? You have RJ Barrett, who he likes to, kind of get to his spots and elevate over the top. And then Brandon Ingram, kind of same thing. Same thing with Scotty Barnes. Are you going to be able to make that mesh? Are you going to be able to make that work? Or are you going to have to start making some tough decisions at some point? Right? Are you going to have to maybe look to trade an RJ Barrett or something? Right? Especially because you're committed to Ingram, right? And you're not getting rid of Scotty Barnes. So if this doesn't work, you're kind of like, okay, well now what, right? But you look at kind of their roster, and it's like if they can make it work, they could be they could be a real interesting team, right? Because you got Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, you got Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl. Like that's a really good five, right? You got really good versatility, you got size, you got length, you got switchability, you got multiple guys that can score the basketball. Again, if they can kind of figure out how to make the ball movement work and stuff like that, they could be a really good just offensive generated team. And then if you can just get the commitment from guys like Quickley and Barrett, who, at times they look like they can defend, but then there's times where they just look like, they're just out there, right, on the defensive side of things. If you can really get them committed, same thing with Ingram. Ingram at times, he can be clamps, but there's also times where he just looks like he's very disinterested in trying to play the defense side of things. But to his defense, he's on the Pelicans, and most of the time, right, with their injury history and the guys that they have on their team, most of the time he's kind of out there by himself as the guy. So he has to generate the offense, generate the playmaking, he's responsible for essentially everything, because you got guys like Zion, and you've had, DeJounte Murray, and you just kind of go down the list of Brandon Ingram, there you go, it's you and, all these other guys, and you're the guy that has to basically do everything, right? So maybe he will, because he has guys like Barrett and Quickley and Barnes and stuff, to where he can kind of lock in more defensively. They can kind of have this team defense schemes. You got Jakob Poeltl as your defensive anchor on the interior. I don't hate it, right? It's definitely a question mark in my opinion. I don't think that they're contenders. I don't look at them and go oh, that's it. They're one of the three best teams in the league or one of the five best teams in the league. I don't even think that the top three in the Eastern Conference with this move. Obviously, this move isn't about this year. This year is about, building chemistry, kind of trial and error, okay, kind of evaluate and see, okay, how does this look? How does this fit? Do we need to make some tough decisions in the offseason? Do we need to make some tough moves in the offseason? Can we kind of get away with this? Can we kind of get away with that? Right? Like, that's what this season is going to be about. It's going to be about evaluation and kind of, just building the chemistry and the organizational foundations that you want leading into next season. So hopefully in free agency, you can get a couple nice pieces, maybe make a couple trades, do whatever you need to do to now go into that season. And maybe then they are. Maybe they are, one of the top three teams in the league. I just think, you kind of look at the surface of this team. I have some question marks. Obviously, things can change, right? Maybe it goes seamlessly, right? Maybe Brandon Ingram just really kind of elevates because he has help and he's not worried about guys. Maybe he can stay healthier because he's not responsible to do everything out on the basketball court every single night on a nightly basis. And maybe Scotty Barnes starts taking those real strides and he starts moving into top 20, top 15 conversations or something like that, right? Like, there's an argument that there is a path, obviously, to maybe becoming a top team in the Eastern Conference. And look, every year, there's really only three teams, right? It's just the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Cavs are probably going to be the only teams that you really have to get through. Don't get me wrong, there's several other teams that are good, but they're the next tier. It's the Cavs, the Knicks, and the Celtics are that top tier in the East. And then you have this clump of five teams that are just in the middle that are all fighting for that other playoff seeding, and then you have the lower teams, right? So if Toronto can kind of get into that clump of the next tier teams, and all of a sudden you're the 4th seed or the 5th seed, you get into the playoffs, you get the right matchups, right? You kind of go on a solid run here, right? You never know. You could make a conference finals or something like that. Indiana made the conference finals last year. Atlanta made the conference finals a couple years ago, right? You'd have to eventually probably play two of those teams, but, you probably could get out of the first round at least, and then, you get the right matchup on one of those three teams, or, the ball kind of just rolls your way a few times. Toronto knows it, right? The Raptors better than anybody know that with the Kawhi Leonard game winner over the Sixers, right? You get a couple balls that just kind of fall your way, and it's just your year. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're in the conference finals and 4 games away from an NBA finals appearance. So stranger things have happened. Again, I like the team. I think it's solid. I need to see it before I go, okay, this is terrible, or this is just mid, or this is good, great, or oh no, this is that team. Watch out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think yes? Do you think this team is going to be great? Do you like the Brandon Ingram signing and extension? Do you think no, they overpaid for him? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Either way, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.